You're listening to Where You Live with Gene and Tony.
Welcome back to Where You Live with Gene and Tony. We're broadcasting live from the Concierge Landscape Studios and brought to you this hour by Extreme Exteriors. We're asking the question today, what is reasonable? And if you're just joining us, we have been talking about a legislator now in North Carolina who is coming forward saying, I don't think HOA should be able to have the power to foreclose on people that don't pay their dues.
Yeah. We've heard from Nevada on this issue. They have people in their legislature that are trying to prevent HOAs from foreclosing. Florida. Was Texas another one?
Texas.
And you know, Gene, what's prompted this, I think, is the number of foreclosures. It's just escalated because of the terrible real estate market. People bought when real estate was high. Their loans are higher than what the house is now worth, and they can't sell. They end up in trouble. So this is, I think, is really instigated by the fact that the whole housing market is really messed up right now.
Yes, and this legislator's two things I want to point out that he said, and we'll address that, but we also want to address the situation that he brought up as an example here, too. But a couple things that I didn't like, Tony, the way he characterized this whole discussion. He said, I don't think HOA should have the power to arbitrarily foreclose on a homeowner if that's the only issue.
And he means non-payment of dues.
Yes, and then he also goes on to say, in this economic environment, we're all struggling with regular foreclosures, and it's just another undue burden on the citizens, and we need to try and get them some type of leeway to help them navigate through this time.
Gee, what's wrong with that, Gene?
There's a couple of things. First, let's go back to the word arbitrary.
Yeah.
There's nothing arbitrary about this.
No.
The word arbitrary means that there is no reason.
The homeowners associations are just going out and willy-nilly foreclosing on people arbitrarily.
Yes.
That's what he's saying.
Yes, this is not a case of willy-nilly.
That's right. That's right. And neither is it arbitrary.
There is something very specific here.
There's a specific reason, and the HOA has the legal power to do that for this specific reason.
Yes, they do. And I mean, I've always talked about this. Why is this more reasonable to give more leeway to this person than the undue burden financially it places on everybody else who's paying?
Yeah, let's remind everyone, those HOA dues that are paid every month are paying for common expenses that all of the homeowners share, depending on what the property is like. You may just only, if you're a single-family home association, you may just be paying for street repairs and snow plowing and a monument sign, maybe street lights, but there's something you own in common with your neighbors. If you're in a condo building, you're paying for a lot of things in common. Often you're paying for the heat, the water and sewer, the upkeep of the hallways and swimming pools and underground parking. There's a lot of expenses that people share.
And every time you can't pay, and it may be not because you are purposely trying to do something.
Sure.
You are putting an undue pressure because those bills have to be paid.
That's
so
right.
that the association can continue to enjoy the water.
That's right.
And the electricity and everything else that they use.
The association usually cannot legally shut off your utilities either.
Right.
So you're asking your neighbors to pay your bills. That's why the association has the power to foreclose on your unit, to try and reasonably operate the association for the benefit of everyone.
And that brings me to my next point with what the representative said here. He refers to this bad economic times. He said we need to give people leeway. I want to say to him, really, Representative Moore, are you going to give, is the state of North Carolina, going to give people the same leeway when they say, I've got to pay for groceries for my kids and orthodontics and other things, and so I won't pay my income taxes, my state income taxes this year. You'll give me a leeway, won't you?
Sure.
Or how about you'll give me...
Because it's tough economic times.
Yeah. How about giving someone leeway on their property taxes? How many counties or municipalities or governments are going to do that? No, people are going to foreclose. People are going to do other things to get their
That's
money.
right. They're
and
going
they're
to
not.
cut off your services. They're going to put a lien on your property, which is what the homeowners association is doing. Now, there's payment plans in these circumstances. This association also offered payment plans to the homeowners who were foreclosed upon.
Yes. One of the things why I think, and people look at foreclosure, it is a bad situation.
It is.
I don't wish bad financial situation on anybody, but it also allows, when there is a sunset to this, something that's finite, it also allows for the person to finally begin and to start anew, because they may be in something that they can't continue to support.
That's right. They can't afford it. They can't stay there.
Yes, but all we do is sometimes in our, I guess, with this idea of giving more leeway and just giving someone another chance again and again, all we're doing is we're perpetuating something that they can't maintain.
We're prolonging it, the inevitable.
Exactly.
I want to mention, too, that for most homeowners associations, foreclosure is not a great option for them. I mean, they foreclose on a unit and on a homeowner because that person is not paying their dues, but ultimately, then the HOA is responsible for that unit or for that home, right?
Yeah.
And that's a burden on the homeowners association. So I really argue the idea that homeowners associations love to do this, and they do it arbitrarily.
Wasn't that a point in the article that you wanted to bring out too, where it was an interesting fact that the association was still holding on?
That's right. It said this foreclosure, used as an illustration by the Representative Moore, is still empty. The foreclosure occurred in 2009. The HOA still owns it and has been paying money, thousands of dollars, they claim, to insure it and keep it maintained while it sits empty. That's a problem for homeowners associations. We would recommend to that association they rent it out.
Yes,
they get
exactly.
a paying renter in there.
Because you have a clear case where the mortgage was not being paid, but the mortgage company did not.
That's right.
Move forward with foreclosure.
And why not?
They didn't have to, because the homeowners association was
maintaining the home.
And they know that at the point that they pull the trigger and say, we are now going to be responsible, at that point, they now have to be responsible for these monthly assessments.
So the bank is happy to let the homeowners association maintain this place. It's not a great solution for the association either. And to try and paint this picture where money-grubbing Simon Legree homeowner associations love to foreclose on people is just irresponsible. It's not true.
Yeah, it is something that I think every HOA should be looking at, and that is the fact that you do not have to purchase a mortgage if you foreclose on someone and move them out of the property.
The HOA doesn't have to pay off the mortgage. Yeah,
you don't have to be responsible for that, paying it off or making those payments, but you do have an asset that you can use to your benefit, and that is in renting.
That's right. This is why I really caution HOAs against prohibiting rentals or restricting rentals. You're creating a situation where there's less and less flexibility for everyone.
And even in the very least, if we've seen other things still can be written where you have where you minimize rentals, but you allow for extreme situations,
a variance due to hardship or something.
Yes, exactly. And we've seen other associations that have done that, and that has made the difference not only for the homeowner in being able to get by, but also the HOA in not being able to require of the paying homeowners still there more and more.
That's right. Because ultimately, you know what? If enough homeowners default on their dues, services do get cut off. The homeowners association, if they can't pay for grounds care, snow plowing, water and sewer, ultimately those services are going to be cut off to all homeowners.
Yes, they are. Well, we have someone who's been patiently waiting on the line right now. We have Joan on line 1. Good morning, Joan.
Hi, good morning.
You have a question?
I actually have two. The first one is it typical for a management company for an HOA to charge a surcharge of, say, 5% on large contracts for projects like roof replacement.
For who now?
Does
the
management?
If the management company that has been employed or contracted by the homeowners, is it typical for them to tack a 5% surcharge on projects, large projects like roof replacement, for managing the project?
Okay. Yes. The answer is yes.
That can happen.
Yes, it can happen. Every contract that an association has with a vendor, in this case a management company, is specific to that association and that particular vendor. In the case of a management company, because an HOA, Joan, is a nonprofit organization and folks want to pay the least amount of money possible, the management company will try and fashion the amount of services that they can provide for a set dollar amount that is affordable to the association. But then when there are other circumstances that would come up, like a large project, could require at that time for additional compensation because of the additional work that is required. So that is something that could happen, yes.
The second question I have is, what is the typical life expectancy of carpeting in common areas?
That's probably not an answerable question, because it completely depends upon the quality of carpet that was installed and the amount of traffic on the carpet. I guess I would refer you to the manufacturer or call a carpet installer or carpet company and just say, can you give us an idea of how long we should have expected this specific carpet to last?
But with that being said, I think that people probably take a look at carpeting. 5 to 8 years is not an uncommon time period.
I would hope that it would last at least that long.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. But if you think about rental housing, apartments, if you put in inexpensive carpet, you may have to replace that every 2 years.
Is there?
Right.
There sounds like there's something behind that question, Joan. Do you have some carpet that you think is wearing away quicker than?
No, actually, this happens to be. I'm sure it was commercial grade in its day.
Okay.
But it has been down 20 years. And just so unsightly and such a mess that unfortunately we are seeing units go into foreclosure in our association because they can't sell them.
Yeah. So it's hard to raise money for capital improvements like that, or special deals like that. Yeah,
and
I
this
hear you.
doesn't help any for prospective buyers when they come in and walk down the hallways either.
Absolutely. So the consequence is more foreclosures.
Yeah, man, it's a vicious circle.
Yeah. Are there any plans that your association has for trying to be able to replace some of those?
Yeah, it's years down the road.
Years down the road. Well, boy, we're so sorry to hear that.
Thank you for answering my question.
Yeah. Well, thank you for
calling, Joan.
One other thing I'd like to point out, because Joan asked a question about, what should be expected with the management company and the homeowner association in terms of contractually and what their responsibilities are. The other thing, Joan, that we can say that you'll always find with a reputable company as well is that if there are things that are above the regular contract operations for an association, the management company will also make sure that that is always disclosed as well.
Oh, sure.
And that's an important
That's
piece.
usually a conversation that comes up early during the contract negotiations. I would
yes.
think.
In our case, and I think it's that way with a lot of our competitors too. When it comes time to something that's above the contract, we sit down and we put it in writing.
Sure.
And we both have to sign off on
a
it.
new agreement.
Otherwise,
or an agreement
there's no additional charge.
Agreement for that specific circumstance. Because
Exactly.
you know what? Another option for the association in that situation is, could someone on the board supervise this project? You know what I mean? If they don't want to pay a fee to someone else, a general contractor or the management company or whomever, then is there someone in the association or on the board that can take on that task?
And with some specific projects, that's very appropriate. In others, where what's really needed is some expertise in terms of what is
Yes.
is code.
Yes.
And
I wouldn't recommend that a board member take over the elevator upgrade.
roofing,
That's
that
right.
that type of thing.
That's
But
right.
carpeting probably
There you go.
more of a safe bet. Well, we need to take another break here. When we come back, we want to begin answering the question, what should I be looking for before I buy into a condo or town home? Right here on Where You Live with Gene and Tony.